Okay, everyone, this is Acid Roots, and I've got an album review for you. So, this is Cypress Hill's Black Sunday. This came out in the summer of 1993, and it really kind of solidified them quite a bit. I like this group. They have a stoner mentality, but then they also combine that with some of the 90s gangster rap that was around. And this formula works rather well just because we didn't get that sort of style back in 1988 or 1987 or even 1990. 91. This wasn't around that much until these guys came out. And, Snoop Dogg was around. He was pretty popular around this time. But I feel like these guys were kind of a benefit to that West Coast sound that was coming out. There was a lot of people on the West that were doing their thing, but, if you actually were paying attention to the way things they were doing, it happened to be, things got really caught up. And some people got more involved in that life than others, but I don't know. That's the reason why the West Coast kind of slowed down, is just because a lot of people were taking it really seriously, and so things kind of reached a point where it's like, what what are we going? Where do we go from here? I'm doing everything I say in my songs, but you know, can't always be on the run. So that was kind of something. The East Coast, it did the same thing, but they just happened to kind of, I don't know, they just weren't as threatening as other people. They did. But this the point of it is what I'm trying to say is that Cypress Hill was really big around this time, and it was partially because of the new things that they were saying, in addition to the quality, in addition to timing as well. So those were some of the things that had to do with it, and it just was like a myriad of good moments. So the answer is that this album is very much worth it. There's only 12 songs, but really, thing is that there's enough songs on here. I'm sure you probably heard a few of them if you've been around, out and about. If you're a little bit more outgoing, you've probably heard a few of these songs a few times. This record is 22 years old, so it's shown its age, but luckily it doesn't. It's not tiresome. So, can you smoke to this? The answer is yes, you can. It's intended to. And a few of the songs I would smoke to is basically the entire first half. Up to the song "Cock the Hammer," all of these songs really work for smoking. "I Want to Get High" really sounds like a wake and bake song. "Hits from the Bong" is another good one. "What Go Around Come Around." Most of these songs have rather good production, but I also want to bring up something that they do that not necessarily all of them do, and that is bass. It's hard if you're listening to it on a computer, or you're listening to it, on through the television or something. You're not going to be able to hear the bass as well, and you're going to think, well, some of these beats are not that good, but they actually are. It's intended for your car, and there's like three or four songs that have bass in the background. One of them being "Insane in the Brain," and that just lets you know that you just have to. You'll like it. I think it has like a creeping sound. It kind of is supposed to give you like an effect that you may not get from other groups or singers. So that's a double. effect that enhances things. Now the production is handled rather well. One of the ones I liked was Cock the Hammer and Lick a Shot. Those are some good ones. I Ain't Going Out Like That's another one. I Want to Get High is another one. These are all some good ones. For the most part, you're gonna those bass songs, like there's a couple of them, and those are some of the ones that I actually like. But the ones I just listed are also ones with good beats. So it's just a different sound, and it's not like Eminem where you just hear Dr. Dre beats and everything like that. You've got some new sound. It enhances things, like I said. So the unheard songs, basically all of these songs, I Want to Get High, I Ain't Going Out Like That, Insane in the Brain, When the Shit Goes Down, Lick a Shot, Cock the Hammer, Hits from the Bong, and What Go Around Come Around. So that's 8 out of 12. And in addition to that, Hand on the Glock has some bass, and Break 'em Off some kind of has a good beat, but maybe I'll like it somewhere down the road, but I've been having trouble trying to like that song. So, but those two songs work, are close to working. So that would actually make 10 out of 12 if I liked them, but it's 8. And Lil Putos is not quite good enough, and neither is A to the K. Mainly just because once again, I really like production. I need those good beats. But when I compare this to others, the sound of Cypress Hill has plenty, and I think you'll like it. The So what else was around that time? Wu-Tang was coming out, and I would also, obviously there's some West Coast rappers to check out, and I don't think Too Short was another person. Just people who might have been at the gathering of the Juggalos would be some people for you to check out. So I would look that up, see who's been there, and that should give you a few things. I can't really think of terribly many other stoner rappers though. Some people say people like Kid Cudi and can't really think of anyone else. There's Tyler the Creator, and these are a little bit different, but Outkast, just things like that. You just have to search for stoners and you'll find it. But Snoop Dogg is definitely one. Wiz Khalifa. So I recommend this album. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, just because I liked it. It's good. 8 out of 12 is that's past normal, and in addition to those almost songs, which I do consider close enough, or close, but they just they just missed the bar by a bit. So really, that means that maybe 3 months down the road or 2 weeks down the road, I might like these songs. So if that's the case, you can just refer to this album as a 10. But right now, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I guess I could give it a 9.5, but I'm going to give it a 9. The Future, Cypress Hill said that they are working on an album. I don't know when it's going to release, but just stay tuned for that. We'll see what happens. Is this album social? Now that's the thing, is that this sort of appeal that they have, it kind of is not commercial. And that's the same thing I said about Wu-Tang, but the thing about these guys is that they what they do, when I look at the camera I kind of lose focus, but I'm trying to think, like, they happen to make sounds that are not for the radio, and they know it, and that's the thing. They're not attempting to win a Grammy or something like that. I don't even think they've ever been there, but they do want music. And so what that means is, obviously, if you're just trying to do something that's kind of, upbeat and everything like that, it's probably not the best idea. Like, I wouldn't play these guys at a picnic or something like that. Obviously you're probably not going to hear Cypress Hill at a beach, a hotel, a pool party, something like that. It just seems kind of uncommon. But, if you're in a car, you're hotboxing, you're doing something like that, obviously this is going to work. And it's more something just like Wu-Tang, where it's the type of crowd where you get to know people and you're starting to get more and more things in common. So some people right off the bat like Cypress Hill, and it's like, that that's one of the things, that's almost all you need in order to be chill with someone, is just liking Cypress Hill, just because of what they do. I mean, obviously, I like to think of having more than one thing in common with someone, but the chances are, if you like that same style of music, you're also going to do similar things, because it almost seems like they have a style. I'm going to give them a 9 social, just because, I would have preferred like a little bit of gloss on some of these songs, just a few more good productions, and this would have been a classic album. It basically is, but I really like beats. But can it be topped? Doesn't seem likely that much. But alright, subscribe for more fun. I give this album straight 9s. 9 score, 9 social.